If Jesus never sinned, then Jesus never sacrificed an animal. And if sacrificing animals under the Mosaic law was only for the atonement of sins, then you would be absolutely correct. Then Jesus would have never had a need to sacrifice an animal according to the belief in the Jesus character. But let's examine it a little bit deeper. What were other reasons why the people under Mosaic law would sacrifice animals? Now, of course, in the story of Luke, when Mary, after she spent 8 days of being unclean, took the baby Jesus and her husband Joseph, they went to the temple in Jerusalem, sacrificed 2 turtle doves in order to make Mary clean again. This wasn't for the sin of having a baby, but this was to make Mary clean once again after having a baby. Now, it says that they came back to Jerusalem every year. Most likely, this coming back to Jerusalem was for Passover. Animals were sacrificed in order to come back during the time frame of Passover as a way of national identity. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Jesus sacrificed animals during Passover. But for ceremonies and to be cleansed if you violate certain Mosaic laws, not necessarily sins, but just become unclean, then you would have to sacrifice an animal. Now, it is most likely that there were occasions where, in order to participate in ceremonies within the Jewish culture, that Jesus probably would have sacrificed animals, as much of the Jewish people would have done during those time frames. But let's think more practically. Every time Mary would be on her menstrual cycle, anything she touches becomes unclean. It would be hard for anyone to believe or accept that during his 30 years of living with his parents, that he never sat on anything that Mary had sat on when she was on her cycle, when she was menstruating. Now, I'm not Catholic. Now, I mean, they may believe that she never menstruated again, but biologically, she never. That throughout his entire life, especially curiosity of children, he never touched a dead animal, never touched a dead bird. And I know most of us, we poked one with a stick when we was little, but he never touched a dead animal. And we're talking about a grossly agrarian society. It is most likely that he picked up a dead worm, picked up a dead snake, saw a dead bird, picked up a dead bird and brought it into the house. It's most likely. Now, this is one reason why the infancy gospel of Thomas, people don't like it, because, Jesus is a little bastard in that one. Push a boy off the roof, kill him, turn some clay birds into real birds. You little hellion. And it would seem that when he was 12, he went into the temple and he was speaking wisely to these men. This idea makes people think that Jesus has been wise his entire life. So the infancy gospel of Thomas cannot be the same Jesus that is talked about when he's 12 years old. But from infancy to 12, he was a child. And we know how children are. I don't think Jesus was any different. Yeah, but we create storylines in the same way that we created the storyline of George Washington and his father growing a cherry tree, and him chopping it down and then telling his father, "I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down that cherry tree." But we know that that was a propaganda story that was told during his election cycle so that he would appear to have been honest his entire life, that he's had honor and integrity his entire life. So the same type of propaganda is believed about Jesus, that he has been this pious individual his entire life. But he would have probably sacrificed some animals to make himself ceremonially clean, but also just to clean himself to be able to enter into the village again, or to enter into the house or deal with other people because it's most likely he touched a dead animal or sat or touched something that a menstruating woman had touched. There is most likely that happened in his life. But what do you guys think? Always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself. And I thank you for your statement. But you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.